Okay, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the sneakiest time sinks in high-stakes exams like the OSCP. I'm talking about the brute force attack. You know, it feels so productive, but it can quietly absolutely demolish your most precious resource, time. So today, we're going over a simple, powerful rule to keep you in the driver's seat.
Come on, you know you've been there. You're staring at that terminal window, watching a brute force tool just churn away, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm making progress here. But then you look up at the clock, and poof, an entire hour is just gone, vanished, with absolutely nothing to show for it. In a timed exam, that's not just annoying, that can literally be the one thing that separates a pass from a fail.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? That rent it's charging you, that's not just about the clock ticking. It's your focus, it's your energy, it's your morale. Every single minute you're letting that tool run on a dead end is a minute you could have been finding the actual path forward. And that right there, that's the trap. Brute forcing gives you this false sense of momentum, right? It feels like you're doing something. You start telling yourself, okay, just 5 more minutes. Maybe the next password's the one. And before you know it, you look up and an hour and 10 minutes have evaporated, and you're basically pleading with your computer. So what's the solution? It's not about trying harder or finding a faster tool. It's about being more disciplined. And that's where the 20-minute rule comes in. This is a hard, non-negotiable cutoff that forces you to stop what you're doing and actually think. It's how you turn blind hope into a real, strategic, evidence-based decision.
So this really boils down to a crucial mindset shift. I mean, which one are you in that moment? Are you being a slot machine operator, just mindlessly pulling the lever on a tool like Hydra and just hoping you hit the jackpot? Or are you being an investigator, methodically testing a specific theory, observing the results, and making smart decisions based on evidence? The 20-minute rule is your ticket to becoming that investigator.
And the benefits of drawing that line in the sand? They're huge. First, it protects your focus. You stay analytical, you stay in control. Second, it protects your evidence. It forces you to have a reason for what you're doing, something you can actually explain. And maybe most importantly, it protects your morale. It stops that downward spiral into panic that always leads to sloppy mistakes. All right, so how do you actually use this thing in the real world, under pressure? Well, you need a go/no-go checklist. Think of these rules as the bouncers standing at the door of the brute force club. If you don't meet every single one of their criteria, you're not getting in. Simple as that. So here they are, your 3 signal gates. Gate number 1, you need a real solid hypothesis. Not just a wild guess, but a specific reason you think this is the way in. Gate 2, the environment has to be stable. The service has to let you try without punishing you with instant lockouts. And gate number 3, your inputs, your user and password lists, they have to be small, relevant, and justifiable. If you can't say yes to all 3 of these, you don't start the attack, period. Let's dig into that first one because it's so important. What exactly makes a hypothesis defensible? It's not just saying, well, there's a login prompt. That's an observation, not a hypothesis. A real one is based on evidence. Something like the example here. This login is the likely path forward because I found evidence of credential reuse from another service on the box. See the difference? Now your attack has a purpose. It's targeted. Okay, so let's put it all together with this decision tree. Think of this as your script when the pressure is on. You just go down the list. Do I have authorization and a real hypothesis? No. Stop. Is the login behavior stable and predictable? No. Time to pivot. Am I seeing any signs of a lockout or throttling? Yes. Stop immediately. Is my list of candidates way too big? Yep. I need to narrow it down or just abandon this path. And finally, the big one, a timer goes off. Did I gain any useful signal or information? If the answer is no, you stop and you pivot.
And listen, this isn't just some theory. This is a true story. A candidate was running a brute force attack, and their 20-minute timer went off. They were annoyed, right? But they followed the rule, they stopped the attack. That forced them to pivot and look somewhere else. And guess what? Just 2 minutes later, they stumbled upon a config file that had the exact credentials they needed. Think about that. The stop didn't prevent the win, the stop created the win.
So that's the key, right? The timer dings, you've stopped your attack. Now what? What do you do next? This is where you have to master the art of the pivot. And you have to burn this into your brain. Stopping is not quitting. Let me say that again. Stopping is not quitting. It's a strategic choice. You're actively deciding to move to a more promising line of attack.
That's a sign of strength and control, not weakness.
So what does a smart pivot actually look like? Well, here's your menu of options. You can do an enumeration refresh. Go back and reread all your scan outputs. What tiny detail did you miss the first time? You can go on a dedicated credential hunt. Scour config files, public shares, command history. You can use path thinking. Ask yourself, okay, if I did have a shell, what would my next step be, and work backwards? Or you can just completely swap your attack surface and focus on a totally new port or service.
Now, as you're making all these quick decisions, stopping, pivoting, you need to document them. And this isn't just for your final report, okay? Think of it as leaving a proof trail for future you. The you that's going to be exhausted 5 hours from now and needs to remember why you made a certain choice.
So what do you log? It's simple. Write down your one-sentence hypothesis. Note the start and stop time of your 20-minute time box. What signal were you watching for? What was the stop evidence, like a screenshot of a lockout warning? And this is critical, your pivot reason. I stopped because of X, and I pivoted to Y. This keeps you honest and prevents you from second-guessing yourself when you're tired.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this choice. Hydra versus Hunt. You choose Hydra, or any brute force tool, only when the signals are stable, there's no lockout risk, and you have a small defensible list of candidates. And even then, you're only giving it 20 minutes, max. You choose to hunt when you don't have enough context. Your list is huge, or the service looks like it might fall over if you breathe on it. That 20 minutes spent hunting will always, always pay off more in the long run.
23 hours and 45 minutes. That's it. That's all the time you get. Every single minute of that exam is a scoring asset. It's currency. You cannot afford to just give it away on a low-probability gamble. This whole framework is about making sure you spend every single one of those minutes wisely.
So what's your next step? I want you to actually do this. Build your card. Get an index card or a text file and write down the 3 signal gates. Copy down the 5-step decision tree. List the 4-item pivot menu right at the bottom. Keep this 1-page script with you. Make it part of your exam checklist. It's a practical tool that's going to keep you sharp when it matters most.
So by following this rule, you've just done something huge. You've protected your focus, you've protected your morale, and you've protected your evidence. You have almost certainly saved yourself at least an hour of wasted, frustrating time. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with that hour you just got back?